Well, this sucked. Escape Room Tournament of Champions. Now, this is just gonna be my quick thoughts. I'm over a month late on this. This came out in mid-July, and I really have other stuff to get to, so I have to just get to this right quick. So I have a few minutes to make a review for this god-awful movie. And like I just finished filming my Bad Batch one not too long ago, and I have to go somewhere in like 15 minutes, so I've got maybe 8 or 10 minutes to briefly talk about this film. But thankfully I'm talking about this movie because it's probably the film of this year that I had the least to say about. What did I expect with this? Like, I saw the original Escape Room. I didn't watch it in theaters. It was we saw it somewhere, like after it came out on VOD, so I didn't see that in theaters, and I saw it, and it was horrible. It was so bad. I couldn't stand it, and the ending was just such utter garbage, where it is such a shameless setup for a sequel, and it was like YA levels of obvious that they were trying to set up another sequel, and that's freaking hysterical. But of course, it ended up being a huge hit, and now it has a sequel, Escape Room Tournament of Champions, where the two who escaped in the last movie are going back to try to take down Minos, which is the place that made the escape rooms, even though I'm pretty sure, I thought that was pronounced Minus in the first movie, but whatever. If I'm wrong, I really don't care, but that's how I assumed it was pronounced. I don't even know if it was said out loud. But then they find that there's a bunch of other people there. There are 4 other people that had the same goal in mind, and they're all stuck in this new escape room. With it's Hunger Games catching fire. It's exactly what it is. All these champions from the past tournaments coming together into one. It's the exact same plot as Catching Fire, with none of the quality to back it up that Catching Fire had. So the characters are all bland cutouts. The characters from the first two film, or the 2 characters from the first film, are just as, or technically 3 characters, but we'll get to that in a minute. They're boring as hell, and all these other characters seem a lot more interesting. Mostly like this one, like, really religious guy, this, like, priest, I think he was. He's actually pretty interesting, so he, of course, gets axed. And then everybody virtually dies, except for the 2 from the first movie. Bullshit. I legitimately thought that they were going to kill somebody off, and if they killed one off, I knew it would be Ben. I just knew it was going that route, but just for some reason, Zoe's this really important character to Minos, and apparently to the screenwriters as well. I don't get it. She's incredibly boring. Ben at least had it. I don't know. Ben's just as boring, but he seems he was a bit more interesting in the first film than Zoe was. Zoe's just kind of just a bland cutout. Ben had a little bit more character to him in the first film, but here they're just as bland, and all these new characters are just, again, more wooden cutouts that are just there to serve as cannon fodder. And the escape rooms aren't nearly as clever this time around. The one thing I can give the original escape rooms is that the escape rooms were actually pretty clever. They were actually very well designed, the sets were cool, and it involved some unique problem solving. This one, pretty much any idiot could probably figure this out. The sets still look okay, but the puzzles were not difficult whatsoever. And this was a waste of time. That's the best way to describe this movie. It was a waste of time. And not a fun waste of time. Like, I can go back and watch, like, Mitchell vs. the Machines. That's kind of a waste of time. It doesn't really do much for me, but it's fun at least. It's a fun waste of time. This is not. This was a tedious hour 26. Because I think that's what it is without credits. It was like an hour 26. And it was so god-awful. I hated every second of it. Like, yeah, and then we get to possibly the worst ending to a film I have ever seen. I think I might owe Trollhunters Rise of the Titans an apology. I still don't forgive it for that ending, but I owe an apology because at least it didn't do this. So, essentially, this entire escape room was made by Amber from the first movie. The chick from the first movie, was it Amber? I don't know. I don't remember. The chick played by Deborah Ann Wool. the chick from Daredevil. So, and I didn't know that was her in the first movie because I hadn't seen the show yet, but I recognized her right off the bat here. Who's pretty much the only actor in this who's worth half a damn, really. None of the actors, all the acting is extremely awkward in dialogue scenes, but whenever the danger starts showing up, it becomes ridiculously over the top. There's no balance to it, and there's like really no good performances. Even Wolf still struggles with a lot of these lines, and I don't think it's her fault. I think it's the director. So, it's made by her, and now they want Zoe to make their next escape room. And okay, so obviously they get out, no shit, but then they suddenly get trapped in another one at the very end on like some kind of plane. Not some kind of plane, on a plane. And this was set up in the first scene, which I can give it, but it was painfully obvious they were setting something up. It wasn't clever in the slightest. It wasn't a clever callback. And it just served this shitty ending where all of a sudden, hey, they're just in this new escape room. They're stuck here with a bunch of these other people, and then the movie just ends. I know they're setting up a third film, but God, I hope a third film doesn't come out. This did not do well at the box office, I don't think, at least. It didn't do well critically, but then again, neither did the first one. Their critic scores are basically dead even. I think this one might be a little lower, and this one definitely is worse than the first one. I hate the first one very much, but this is worse. This is... Now, is this the worst movie I've seen this year? No. This isn't worse than Justice League. This isn't worse than Space Jam 2, or Tom and Jerry, or Flashback, or Chaos Walking. But it gets close in a number of areas, I'm not gonna lie. Like, the acting's all bad. The sets are fine, but the escape rooms aren't as clever here. Like I said, the other ones had like this upside down room. It had them stuck in like this freezing environment. And there were a lot of these, and then they had this one like really trippy room that basically made it like it was like a drug trip. Really, it was creative. But in this one, it's a beach. It's a street where it rains acid every 30 seconds. It's all generic shit. That's the best way, and that's another good way to describe this movie. Generic shit. So, yeah, I don't have much time left. Like I said, I had nothing really to say about this movie. Escape Room Tournament of Champions gets a 1.1 out of 5. I think that's pretty generous, too. But, man, this was bad. Thank y'all so much for watching. Be sure to hit that like button down below, hit that subscribe button for more reviews, and what did you think of Escape Room 2? Did you even watch this? Did you even watch the first one? Like, most people I talk to have never even heard of the first movie, and I don't really blame them. So yeah, that's all I got for Escape Room Tournament of Champions, and now I have other stuff to do. Bye.